They protested him. They called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination. Obviously, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have it. I don't know where it's going, but there's a collision that's clearly imminent. And by the way, the president is senile in a way that's impossible to deny. Biden's not running the government, so I don't know, man. I've never been this worried about anything as I am about where this is going.
That was Tucker Carlson last September in 2023, predicting that we would be exactly where we are right now. Now, the only thing is that he did not predict that they would fail. And whether you say luck or whether you say the provident hand of God was protecting Donald Trump, his last second head movement just barely caused that bullet to miss his head. If he had not changed his head angle at that moment, it would have gone right through him. And this is reminiscent of the stories that we heard from the Revolutionary War and before. George Washington, in the French and Indian War in 1755, George Washington led his troops in the Battle of Monongahela. And when he came out of that battle, they saw in his cloak 4 bullet holes that had just barely missed him. Time and again, he was barely missed by enemy fire, like at the Battle of Princeton, where he was no more than 30 yards away from the British line. And yet, he was not struck. I am a man of faith, and I know many of you are as well. And you see that, and you can very clearly see where we would have gone if this had gone a different way. And as Tucker Carlson said, they will do this. Taking out Donald Trump just before the Republican convention would have forced the Republican convention to choose somebody else. And who would have likely been that choice? Probably Nikki Haley. That's just a guess. Probably Nikki Haley, because she hadn't really resigned and she had a bunch of delegates. I mean, possibly Ron DeSantis. But given these people's affiliations and such, I know that they would have wanted a globalist like Nikki Haley in there, a warmonger. We are here, and for those of you who think that this is just a one-off, this is just some dude did this, we have a whole bunch of questions that we don't have answers to yet, but they point to one very specific truth. That this was a setup. This was set up. Not that it was fake, but that his security was stripped. Compared to numerous people have commented on this before. The security presence at this rally was so noticeably lower than previous rallies. Where was all the security? They had all just walked out the door. The fact that they had one main building in their eyesight and no police presence on top of it at all. Who ordered the police not to be on that roof? And I say that way because there's no other way of saying that. It's not like someone failed to order people to be on that roof, but rather someone had to have ordered for that roof not to be occupied. Because That's so standard procedure, it's like ridiculous. Nobody up there, and the snipers tracking this guy, it seems like, and yet they did not pull the trigger. Who stripped the Secret Service detail? Who stripped it? We've seen politicians in the Senate and in Congress who worked very hard to try to strip President Trump's security detail, to expose him to these type of attacks. And everyone said that's crazy. Unless they wanted this exact thing to happen, which they did. And you can't go anywhere on Twitter. You can't go anywhere out there and not hear these crazy people who have bought hook, line, and sinker the lies that have been fed to them by the mainstream media, by President Biden, by these other people in politics around the country. So why was President Trump's security detail stripped? Particularly this night, not other nights, not other rallies, just this rally. It wasn't like this has been going on for a while. It's this single event. Who decided to put the giant flag over his head? Which was a perfect wind gauge in sniper school, in a sniper ambush. You will go out and you'll actually set these up if possible. That's how you do these things. You need to know what the wind is. Now, at this point blank range, did they even need that? And I don't know where they scrounged this guy up from. I don't know how they recruited him. I don't know whether the FBI did this or someone else undercover got him out to a range and got him some practice before they opened the door for him to walk through. But we've seen the political lawfare where they've attacked Donald Trump legally time and again. We've seen how delighted they were in getting a conviction, even though it was an extremely clear political conviction. So what happens next? Are they just going to roll over and go, not only did we fail to get him, but we've now lost the election? That's what some people were out there saying. But these people are desperate. They're desperate to cover up their crimes, and they know that they will go to jail or worse if Donald Trump gets into office. If the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the White House, they know that their plans will not only be stopped, but exposed. And this is what they cannot tolerate. The globalists around the world cannot tolerate this because when you look at what's happening down in Argentina with Milei, they are being so embarrassed and exposed by this. Hungary's Orban, he's going around talking to China. He's talking to Russia. He's talking to these people, and these conversations are exposing these warmongers for what they are. People who do not want peace under any circumstance. They don't want to have conversations. They don't want to have information shared. They don't want to come to negotiated truces. They want war. They want to take out Trump. They want to take out us, ultimately. I shared that yesterday, was that I don't think he was just trying to take out Trump. I think he was trying to take out as many Trump supporters as possible, too. And that's scary. Because we see that. I mean, how many times has Donald Trump said that? They're not coming after me, they're coming after you. And we've already seen them come out and start twisting this into somehow Trump should be indicted for instigating this assassination attempt. If they had their way, they would prosecute him for this. We don't know where this goes next. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball to see if they try this again. It'll be harder for them to pull that off. It certainly wouldn't look very isolated if they do that. But I mean, I'm going to read you just a few facts here. And you tell me if you notice a trend here, okay? I'm going to list to you the presidents who have been shot in the United States. And you just tell me if you see a trend here. Abraham Lincoln, shot and killed. First president shot. Republican. He's also the first Republican that we've ever had. James Garfield was shot and killed. He was a Republican. McKinley was shot and killed. And he was a Republican. Theodore Roosevelt was shot but did not die. At the time, he was a Republican. Now, we do have JFK, he was shot and killed. He was a Democrat who was for the death penalty. He was for lower taxes. He was avidly pro-life. And he was the first president to build the wall. No joke. The first segments of the wall were built in 1962 near San Diego on the Mexican border under JFK's presidency. Yeah, so funny how that is. He doesn't really sound like a Democrat, does he? Maybe he was just a little too not Democrat to live. Reagan, shot, survived. He was a Republican. And Donald Trump, shot as a Republican. Of the 7 presidents of the United States that have been shot, 6 of them were Republicans. And 1 was a Democrat. Now, I don't know what the odds should be on that, but does that strike you as maybe like a little bit of a pattern, a little bit of a trend? Serious things are afoot. And people who aren't paying attention are going to miss them. Desperate people do desperate things. And they worked very hard not to get their fingerprints on this. They counted on capturing Congress so that they could make sure that no hearings were held on this. This is serious. They desperately needed to get him off the ticket. And he's not off the ticket. And he's going to be announcing, any time now, he's going to be announcing his vice president. Who will that be? I still have my fingers crossed for Tulsi Gabbard, but we'll see. We'll see. Another interesting choice that nobody has discussed yet would be Don Jr. What if he chose Don Jr.? That would be an interesting choice. Whoever he picks is going to be the front-running candidate for 2028 president election, right? When the election in 2028 comes around, the vice president or the vice president's choice of this round will be potentially the front runner. If it's not DeSantis, which I'm guessing it's not going to be DeSantis, but it could be. If it's not DeSantis, DeSantis might be in the running too in 2028. But whoever Trump picks will be catapulted forward, whether they get into office or not, because that pick will solidify them. So that's going to be happening today, and we have crazy things afoot. We have all sorts of shadiness happening. We did just see part of the political lawfare against President Trump for his classified documents case. That has been thrown out the window. Thrown out. And why is that? Because the prosecutor was unconstitutionally appointed, had no grounds, had no jurisdiction to do this. Just like the court in New York City had absolutely no jurisdiction for the conviction that they brought. That will be overturned in appeal. And that's why they've pushed back the sentencing so far, is so that the appeal can't happen until after the sentencing. They don't want the appeal to go through and for it to be reversed before the election. They want as many people as possible to vote before his conviction gets overturned. And that's kind of where we're going with all this, is that they will stop at nothing. And mark my words, they're not done yet. They're not done yet. What is the next thing that they pull out of their hat? Is it mass chaos in the streets? More lies about the president? Making stuff up? I don't know. But Joe Biden looks like he's not going to be leaving office anytime soon. They can't suffer that chaos now, apparently. So all the forces that were bent on taking Joe Biden out of the election cycle have backed off, at least for the moment. So that has made things... this election right now is a slam dunk for Donald Trump, which points to the fact that they may stop trying to use the electoral process and continue to try to use their other means at their disposal. Be praying for President Trump. Be praying for whoever is the vice president nominee. Be praying for our country, because we need it. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.